Now, more on that troubling story that emerged from the Turkish top flight overnight. League matches in Turkey have been suspended indefinitely after a referee was punched by the Ankaragücü club president and kicked in the head on the pitch. The full story is on talkSPORT.com. Joining us now for more is our European football expert, Kevin Hatchard. Morning, Kev.
Morning, Kevin. Shocking, this is, mate, eh?
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I think we will get quite swift and quite severe punishments, I think, because for the president of a club in the top flight to have attacked a referee so publicly, so shockingly, I think the league, for its credibility, has to act quickly. And I think the fact that President Erdogan has already, who's heavily involved in football anyway, has already responded, already condemned it, I think gives you an idea of how this is going to be dealt with. What's even more bizarre about it, really, is that, you know, it's not like, not that this will be justification for it, but it's not like it was a game that saw Ankaragücü relegated. It wasn't like it was a cup final. I mean, this is a mid-table game, effectively, and it's really quite extraordinary. And this is a respected referee. This is a referee that's reffed in the Champions League. Again, it wouldn't matter if he wasn't, but it just adds to this idea that this is a really quite extraordinary incident.
Have you ever seen anything worse than this in European football, Kev?
I mean, there have been incidents where referees have been attacked. There have been incidents where, this kind of thing has happened. But this is so brazen. And the fact that it is somebody right at the top of the club, it is what makes it all the more shocking. And the fact that he was attacked on the ground as well. So there are others involved in this. It wasn't just Faruk Koca. And the irony here as well is that Koca's been given a fair play award in the fairly recent past. And the other thing to remember about him as well is that he's been part of the parliament as well. This is a guy who's been a politician, who's been kind of quite a major figure. And for him to have done this it beggars belief, really. And I wonder if this will spark some kind of debate in Turkey and in wider football about how we treat referees, how we speak about referees, and how we can protect referees.
You took the words right out of my mouth there, Kev, right? As disgusting as these scenes are, and I tell you what, I couldn't believe it when I saw it this morning when I got up. Horrendous. First thing I thought about, what example does this set the kids, watching this all over the world, in fact. But in a crazy way, could this be the catalyst that has been maybe required for years for us all to sit back? And we all always talk about the respect shown to rugby referees. I don't think that will happen overnight, but there's certainly, as we all know, massive room for improvement. Could we use this as a catalyst for something good?
I hope so. I've said for a long time, I think we do have to be very, very careful about how we treat referees. That doesn't mean they're beyond criticism. That doesn't mean that if they make huge mistakes that there shouldn't be some kind of redress.
Correct.
But if we haven't got referees, we haven't got a game. It's as simple as that. And I fear that the incentives are not there for referees coming through the system. You look at the way they're treated at grassroots, referees will tell you that. I do think it's a growing problem in the game. This is obviously a very extreme example, but I do think we need to change it. And I think part of it is education, and part of it is, I think, the authorities that make the laws of our game need to look at them and need to think, are we undermining referees with the way we've currently set it up?
Kev, let's talk about the action on the pitch. Obviously, Manchester United against Bayern this evening. You were in Frankfurt at the weekend when Eintracht Frankfurt beat Bayern by 5-1. How the heck did that happen?
It was an extraordinary Frankfurt performance, I have to say. I mean, they've been good at home for a long time. They've only lost once in the league in just over a year. But they were sensational from the get-go, played with desire, played with hunger, played with real speed as well, and that caught Bayern out. And Bayern made a lot of mistakes, gave the ball up a lot in their own half. So it was a bit of a mix. Bayern had a really bad day, but Frankfurt were absolutely stellar. So it was a really strange one. Bayern had only conceded 9 goals in the league going into that game. They conceded 5 in one match. So it was one of those freak results you can get sometimes, but it has just poured a bit of pressure on. And I did say in commentary on Saturday, it was the worst possible results for Manchester United.
Yeah. I mean, Tuchel can't afford 2 consecutive defeats on his CV. 4 points off Leverkusen in the Bundesliga already. And I know they're through in the Champions League, but he can't afford to go to Old Trafford and lose, can he?
No. And he's spoken about this. He said that this is one of the big stages in world football. There's an element of pride anyway with Bayern. If you look at their Champions League group stage record in general in recent years, is exceptional. And they don't tend to ease off even when they've won a group with games to spare. So they would see this as an opportunity. Also, they missed a game recently because it was snowed off, their game against Union Berlin. So there was a feeling that they were a bit undercooked, actually, going into the game at the weekend. So I think Tuchel wants them to play their way into rhythm. Got a big game against Stuttgart at the weekend. I think they'll take this very, very seriously.
Can Leverkusen stay there, Kev? I noticed they had a 1-1 draw at the weekend. I think it was with Stuttgart, unless I'm mistaken, which was a first versus third.
Yeah, that's right. And they've had back-to-back draws now against big hitters. They drew with Borussia Dortmund, then they drew with Stuttgart. There's a nagging suspicion that eventually they'll lose steam and Bayern will go past them. But I'm hugely impressed with the job Xabi Alonso has done. Because he took over a team that was in relegation danger. They should never have been there. Yeah. So there was always a kind of regression to the mean anyway. But this season, it's coordinated football. It's precise. It's attacking. They hurt you from lots of different areas. They're a brilliant football team. They really are.
Kev, thanks very much indeed.
Enjoy your football tonight, mate.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.